Yo, what's good, YouTube, man? It's Gary with the Fan TV, man. Back at you on this video. Like the content of this video, smash that like button. Like the content of this channel. Go over here, subscribe, man. Look, all right. So today we're gonna do kind of like two vids in one, a little bit, two topics in one. All right. One, we're gonna talk about, do the Ravens, need a Derrick Henry? The Ravens need to trade for a running back in general. And then secondly, what the other thing I want to talk about is what's going on with Tyus Bowser, right? So I think we're going to start off with the Tyus Bowser, then we'll get into the running back talk, okay? So first thing, yesterday the Ravens been dropping these injury reports super late. I was out again. I couldn't do anything about it. I wanted to drop the video, but they just keep dropping them late. Even today with the game status report, I want to get that out, but they're just, I don't know, the social media teams been kind of slow on that, just to be quite honest. And yeah, so I'll probably put that in the community tab or whatnot. Who's questionable, who's going to play this and that, whatever. But the Tyus Bowser thing is interesting, right? Because it seems like each week that's passing by, the message gets more and more confusing. Okay, so just a couple of days ago, one of the Ravens reporters, I believe it was Jonas Schaefer, wanted to talk to Tyus Bowser, I guess about his update on his status, things like that. Tyus Bowser refused to talk to him, right? Flat out stopped. Didn't want to talk. Okay. And then, secondly, Bobby Trossett, Bobby Baltimore, him and Sir Allison got the Baltimore involved and all that, Ravens involved, excuse me, and they got all that going on. Great content for the Ravens. He kind of put together a minute and a half clip, and it's just John Harbaugh talking about Tyus Bowser's where he's at in his stage of recovery through various points, right? So dating all the way back to August, you got him talking about, well, yeah, we hope to get him back, in a little bit. Then it turns to, we hope to get him back week 1, 2, or 3. Then it turns to, had a little setback, and then, the knees feeling stronger. Then it turned into where the point where we're at now was like, it's up to Tyus. He has to decide when he wants to play. Tyus Bowser saying that Tyus Bowser kind of hitting back with like, yeah, I'm feeling good right now. I'm moving around, but I'm just not ready to play. If I was ready to play, I'll be out there. So now it's kind of a weird back and forth between Harbaugh saying he got to make a decision to play, and Tyus Bowser said, well, look, I ain't playing yet. So it's strange. It almost kind of reminds me of out of all the drama we had last year with the Ravens and the and Lamar Jackson with the knee injury going into the playoffs, or that home stretch of the season going into the playoffs. And it was like this weird mixed messaging from Harbaugh, and can he play, can he not play, things like that. Lamar Jackson was clearly limping and could not play. But anyway, that's besides the point. It kind of reminds me of that situation, right? Where there just seems to be two sides that aren't on the same page, and I don't know how they get to the same page. But it led to people thinking that maybe Tyus Bowser is going to be traded and things like that. But I don't know how likely that is, just because what team is trading for Tyus Bowser having no idea what his knee is like. You know what I mean? Unless the Ravens are just keeping it super under wraps and that he's really is good to go, and they're just playing it off like he's not, to get a trade passed through, and teams are comfortable with where he's at. I don't know. That just seems kind of crazy to me, honestly. But at the end of the day, the Ravens have to figure out something. Tyus Bowser have to figure out something, right? Because this back and forth in the media of will he play, will he not play, the kind of media availability, it all looks kind of shady and a little weird and it looks bad on both sides. Like nobody really looks good in the situation. So I hope that there is some clarity to the situation, because Tyus Bowser is a hell of a player, right? Dropping coverage, rush the passer, stop the run. He's really one of the Ravens' most complete outside linebackers that they have. And it would be great to see him out there on the field. Obviously, get him out there when he's comfortable and ready to play. But it's just one of the things where it's like the Harbaugh injury updates, they just don't always line up with how the player is feeling, right? And that disconnect can cause issues, it seems like, between coach and player. And I think that's where we're at right now with Tyus Bowser. So hopefully there's more news to update on it, but it's just a very, very strange situation. All right. So now on to the second part. Derrick Henry, running backs in general, Saquon Barkley. I've even seen an article saying Dalvin Cook to the Ravens, right? Do the Ravens need to trade for a running back? Okay. Now let's talk about this, right? So to me, right, I'm on the no running back train, okay? And let me explain why, right? I still think if the Ravens are going to add a player, I still lean pass rusher, okay? I've said this many times, but I'll say it again here. If the Ravens, when I look at the Ravens team, right, I think they have 29 sacks on the season. They're 5 more than any other team in the NFL, and that's great. I love the fact that the Ravens are getting after the passer. I love it, all right? But let's talk about how they do it. It's a lot of the scheme. It's a lot of disguise and scheme things, right? It's a lot of Mike McDonald setting up this guy to get a sack. It's a lot of blitz at five, things that are creating confusion along the offensive line. All right. The Ravens don't have a lot of guys that just straight up win. Right now, the guys are playing well. Matabike's playing well. Clowney's playing well. Kyle Van Noy. So don't, Doc Elway got in there with a sack. So don't hear me saying that the Ravens don't have any good pass rushers. The Ravens have good pass rushers, right? But the scenario I think about is like when we get down to a 2 minute drill, right? Game on the line. You're not always going to be able to set up an exotic blitz because the offense is going tempo, right? So you're not going to be able to get up one of those exotic blitzes. Can you win rushing four, right? Can you win like that? And I still have some questions about if the Ravens can win in that particular scenario because when the season's on the line, it's probably going to come down to that kind of scenario, all right? Can the Ravens win that way? I don't know, maybe. And then the thought process is that you can never have enough edge rushers, right? This is kind of the same thought process we had when we talked about wide receivers and remember when the Ravens were considering DeAndre Hopkins, right? People were saying that would take away targets from Rashad Bateman. I never got on that train because I'm like, you can never have enough playmakers, right? And Rashad Bateman would get in where he fits in. It's the same way I feel about the pass rushers, right? I look at the Eagles. The Eagles draft pass rushers every year. The Eagles invest in pass rusher every year because they rotate guys in and out of the defensive line. You can never have too many pass rushers. So I don't worry about adding other pass rushers that's going to stomp on the toes of Odafe, that's going to stomp on the toes of David Ojabo when he returns. I don't worry about that because pass rusher, defensive end, outside linebacker, as the Ravens play these guys, is a position that needs to be rotated. It's not a position where you have one guy on this edge, one guy on that edge, and they just play the entire game. That's not what the outside linebacker position should be. You want to have guys, fresh bodies, rotating in and out the game. All right. But look, if the Ravens are going to go running back, right, do I think Derrick Henry's the kind of guy the Ravens need? Now, listen, the Ravens happen to trade for Derrick Henry. I'm not going to sit up here with a mad face like, oh, why'd they do that? I can't believe they went out and got Derrick Henry. I'm not going to do that. I don't think Derrick Henry's the kind of running back the Ravens need. Okay? Here's why, right? What does Derrick Henry do differently other than Gus Edwards? Okay? Hey, listen, I'm not saying Gus Edwards is Derrick Henry, but tell me what the difference is, okay? Straight ahead, power back, limited uses in the passing game. What does he do differently? If we're going to trade for a running back, why not have somebody who's going to add some real dynamic decision, like dynamism to the backfield, okay? Derrick Henry is a good power back. Obviously, we know what Derrick Henry could do. But he's also a guy you got to get him out in space, and he's got to lead up to that kind of power, right? He's not really a short. For as great as he is, it's just going to sound crazy. He's not a great short yardage back. It's just not what he does, okay? He's like, you get him a hit of steam, now all of a sudden it's the freight train rolling at you, right? So what does he add to that backfield, all right? So to me personally, right, if the Ravens had to go running back and there were other options available, I would look for other options, okay? I mentioned two guys, Saquon Barkley and Dalvin Cook, okay? Saquon Barkley, the Giants are adamant that they're not trading him, that they're not getting rid of Saquon Barkley. I guess he's a part of their future, right? Even though they won't fully commit to paying him, but whatever. That's the kind of guy I'll be looking for. Saquon Barkley, if he was available, he'd be at the very, very top of the list, okay? This is a guy who can run out of any situation and is a dynamic pass catcher out the backfield. Dynamic, all right? That's the kind of guy where it's like, oh, the Ravens add him. I'm super excited about that, like crazy excited. The guy that kind of cuts the middle in between those two is Dalvin Cook, right? So Dalvin Cook gives you that great running ability. Dalvin Cook was still looking good to me last year and even parts earlier this year. Breece Hall came back. Breece Hall is a beast. Like he was always going to get that backfield under control for the Jets. Like that was always going to be his backfield. Okay, so if Dalvin Cook is truly available, that makes the most sense to me, right? Just because Dalvin Cook is a guy who's going to add a dynamic element to the backfield, right? And he will also be able to catch footballs out the backfield. Okay, to me, unless Derrick Henry goes through a complete change and renaissance, that's not his game. That's just not his game. It has never been his game. He catches a short dump off every now and then, kind of like how Gus did, took an 80, you know what I mean? That was kind of a little bit, obviously a broken play, but still, that's kind of what Derrick Henry can do, right? I've seen people say that, oh, well, the last time the Ravens traded for a 30-year-old running back, and it was a picture of Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram and Derrick Henry are not the same running back. Like they're not. Mark Ingram, you're doing a little bit of a disservice to him. He's a better receiving back than Derrick Henry is. All right. And I love Mark Ingram. We all love Mark Ingram. You know, the whole reason we say big trust. You know what I mean? Well, it was Lamar first, then, you know, Mark Ingram added on to it. But, you know, you get what I'm saying. All right. So, if the Ravens are going to go running back, right? Like I said, I still lean pass rusher. That's just where I'm at with it. If they're going to trade somebody before the deadline, they're going to go running back, and Saquon Barkley is truly not available. I like Dalvin Cook more than I like Derrick Henry for what this team needs. That's just my opinion. I'll wrap the video up here. You guys let me know your thoughts and opinions on it. Obviously, we'll talk about it in the comments, man. But I'm going to get out of here, man. It's Gary Root, another Fan TV. I'm out.